Manufacturing Matters is an MFG Radio Network production brought to you by GIE Media's Manufacturing Group as industry experts take deep dives into the latest manufacturing matters, whether it's new innovations, products, technologies, and emerging markets that help you understand better why manufacturing matters to you and also to the top companies in the medical, aerospace, defense, and electric vehicle manufacturing industries.
Hello and welcome to the latest discussion from GIE Media's Manufacturing Group as we forecast the medical, aerospace, defense, and electric vehicle markets for 2025. We'd like to thank our series sponsor, Renishaw, to start things off. From the core of our business to the heart of your manufacturing, our precision manufacturing solutions are helping manufacturers around the world tackle the new production challenges. These include the increased demand for innovative new products with more complex parts, higher design specifications, and shorter product life cycles. For over 50 years, industrial metrology has been at the core of Renishaw's business. As precision manufacturers ourselves, we've developed robust process control solutions that give our customers confidence that their parts will meet the design intent and that their manufacturing processes perform as required. Process control solutions increase the levels of automation which are possible in manufacturing, reducing dependency on skilled operators to maintain the quality of production parts. The ability to create parts with tight tolerances features is vital in many industries for the performance, aesthetics, and safety of finished products. Our industrial metrology systems and sensors capture the data required to identify and control sources of variation, enabling increased throughput and also reducing rework, concessions, and scrap. Learn how we are making the real difference to the capabilities of our customers across a broad range of industries. Remember, at Renishaw, innovation matters. To read more about our technologies and their real-world applications, you can download the latest issue of our Innovation Matters magazine. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, OSG and SMW Autoblock. OSG is a leading manufacturer of taps, end mills, drills, and indexable cutting tools. OSG's extensive line of high technology cutting tools features include exclusive metallurgy, also cutting geometries and proprietary surface treatments to help increase productivity, reliability, and tool life. OSG also serves the fastener industry by offering a complete line of thread rolling, flat, cylindrical, planetary, rack, and trim dies. The company markets its products to numerous industries, including automotive, die mold, aerospace, energy, heavy machinery, and dental. And SMW Autoblock is a work holding company focused on achieving customer goals and expectations with the highest quality products and services. SMW Autoblock combines stocked standard product with a highly trained sales, service, and engineering team to consistently provide the ideal work holding solutions for customers across a wide variety of industries. The organization strives to achieve deeper understanding of customer needs to provide products and services that are geared towards specific customer applications, maintaining long-term mutually beneficial partnerships to enhance machine tools and drive modern manufacturing. But without further ado, I will head over to our editorial director, Elizabeth Modick, and she'll lead things off with a medical forecast.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the introduction, Jake. That was wonderful. So let's start with a global overview of the medical device market size. That was calculated at more than $640 billion in 2024. It is expected to reach near $679 billion this year and grow to $1.146 trillion by 2034. This is expanding at a compound annual growth rate of 6% through the forecast. Typically, medtech falls between 4% and 7% growth per year, so the market is staying steady. So looking just at North America, its size reached more than $256 billion in 2024. It's capturing the largest revenue share at 40%, and it's anticipated to continue in the upcoming years because of developed healthcare infrastructure. Additionally, rapid adoption of new and advanced medical technologies for enhancing the diagnosis and treatment of critical disease is likely to contribute to market growth. So now if we move to just the US market, its market size was estimated at more than $180 billion in 2024 and is predicted to be worth around $328 to $329 billion by 2034. This is a CAGR of 6.2%. Supporting this market is the increased demand for innovative therapies, along with the technological advancements in the medical devices to overcome the unmet requirements in the healthcare sector. So two key market dynamics in medtech are 3D printing and technology, such as AI, artificial intelligence, and robotics. Surgical equipment, dental restorations, and orthopedic and cranial implants are among the medical items created via 3D printing. Medical devices and implants made via 3D printing may be more successful than those made using mass production methods, since they are made specific for the physiology of a patient or a particular surgery. Medical device companies are undergoing a significant technological shift, ultimately transforming them into medtech entities. Manufacturers are using data to incorporate artificial intelligence into their products to add new device value. Additionally, future advancements in AI will simplify the management of chronic diseases. Technology is also having a significant impact regarding treatment, such as cutting down on the amount of time spent in hospitals via robotics and minimally invasive surgeries. Now, an area that continues growth while changing where medical services are received is the ambulatory surgical centers, ASCs. The global ASC market was estimated near $94 billion in 2023 and is expected to reach more than $150 billion by 2033 for a compound annual growth rate of 5%. North America has a market share of around 43% in 2023, while Europe held a market share of around 26% in ASCs in 2023. Again, with a look at the US only, ASCs led the global medical device market in 2024. The prominent sector is mainly attributed to increasing healthcare expenditure, rising development of the healthcare infrastructure, high emphasis on better patient outcomes, and attractive reimbursement policies. The US ASC market size was near $39 billion in 2023, should be $41 billion last year, 2024, and is expected to be worth nearly $56 billion by 2033, a 3% compound annual growth rate. The ophthalmology segment generated the highest market share of 23.6% in 2023. With more than 4 million cataract surgeries performed annually in the US, and with an aging population, the demand for these procedures at ASCs is expected to increase 3 to 4% annually, reaching near 6 million surgeries by 2030. Another area of ASCs is the orthopedic segment, and that's going to expand at the highest compound annual growth rate throughout the forecast period, thanks to the advancement of minimally invasive surgical procedures that have greatly changed the field of orthopedics. Orthopedic procedures constitute a significant portion of ASC caseloads. According to the American Joint Replacement Registry 2023's annual report, more than 42,000 procedural cases were reported by ASCs as of November 2023, an 84% increase from 2022. Well, from 2019 till 2023, there has been a 293% increase in outpatient knee replacement procedures at ASCs. I can attest, I recently had minimally invasive at an ASC, and it was less than 30-minute procedure and home within an hour. Now, I don't have time to dig deep into all of the markets, so here's a quick look on the charts at what growth is expected in these major medtech segments. The neuroprosthesis market is expected to grow more than 15% due to the advancements in brain-computer interface technology and an increasing demand for enhanced prosthetic functionality. The next one, custom procedure kits, is shown to be growing at more than 12% compound annual growth rate because these kits streamline healthcare processes, enhance efficiency, and minimize the risk of error. And for minimally invasive surgery, sitting around 11% compound annual growth rate. Beyond the benefits of these faster surgeries and faster recoveries, incorporation of artificial intelligence is expanding the minimally invasive surgical field as AI provides real-time data analysis and assists surgeons in avoiding obstacles during surgery while also warning of potential complications. And on this other page, I do want to call attention to the orthopedic device market. It encompasses reconstruction, prosthetics, devices, fixation, braces, and accessories. Among these different product segments within orthopedic devices, joint reconstruction dominates the global orthopedic device space on account of an expanding demand for orthopedic devices. However, this segment is projected to drop its market share to spinal device segment as we approach 2034, with spinal devices projected to show a stronger CAGR. The rise in technological developments in spine surgery and the adoption rate of minimally invasive spinal operations are propelling this segment for spinal surgery devices. Also, looking at the overall dental market growth near 12%, while subsectors of that, such as 3D printed devices and implants, are strong too. This is all growing from increasing adoption of digital dentistry solutions and demand for personalized dental care. So with the mention of 3D printing for custom implants, guides, and surgical instruments, globally, the 3D printing medical device market accounted for more than $4 billion in 2024 and will grow to close to $6 billion by 2025. It is expected to be worth around 24 to 25 billion by 2034, with a compound annual growth rate near 18%. To add to this, the North American market led the global market with the highest market share in 2023, and by products, orthopedics had the biggest share in 2023, and electron beam manufacturing segment held the highest market share in 2023 as well. Now, North America dominates the market, primarily driven by several factors, including strong technological capabilities, robust healthcare infrastructure, supportive regulatory environment, high healthcare expenditure, collaborative ecosystem, and the demand for personalized medicine. Europe is a significant market for 3D printing of medtech, with Germany, the United Kingdom, and France being major contributors as well. This is due to Europe's well-developed healthcare infrastructure, which provides a fertile ground for adopting and integrating 3D printing into medtech. The Asia-Pacific region is anticipated, though, to have the highest compound annual growth rate because of that region's rapidly expanding healthcare industry driven by increasing population, rising healthcare, and improved healthcare infrastructure. So who is making all of these medical devices? The contract manufacturing market is growing quickly as more OEMs are outsourcing work to contract development and manufacturing organizations. The global healthcare contract manufacturing market size accounted for more than $280 billion in 2024, will grow to more than $306 billion in 2025, and is predicted to surpass $670 billion by 2034, representing a growth rate of 9.10%. Of note is the medical device segment is growing at a compound annual growth rate of 12% through 2034, while the Asia Pacific region accounted for revenue share of 40% in 2023. So while we could take a deep dive into all the individual medical device and equipment sectors that will show growth in the coming years, cardiology, dental, disposable and surgical devices, patient monitoring, and robotics, this growth in these areas supports the growing demand for precision manufacturing technology, especially from the CDMOs, who help companies efficiently develop and manufacture medtech and are leading the way in investment in machine tool and technology, as the CDMOs provide the following as you see listed on that slide. Historically, medtech OEMs have typically outsourced the manufacture of products and devices to CDMOs, while retaining the development activities in-house. However, as product design and development requires significant upfront capital, OEMs are increasingly involving CDMOs further up the value chain and outsourcing development, freeing up their resources and focus on growth and core competencies. Involvement throughout the entire process allows for greater efficiency and cost savings when transitioning from the development to the manufacturing phase. As a result, OEMs are expected to continue this increase of outsourcing to medtech CDMOs. As medical device technologies continue to evolve, there's constant demand for advanced manufacturing capabilities and expertise. CDMOs are investing in the state-of-the-art equipment to meet the evolving needs of OEMs. Additionally, advancements such as additive manufacturing, robotics, and digitalization enable CDMOs to offer innovative solutions for complex medical device manufacturing challenges. The first step in scaling up medical device manufacturing is to assess the demand for the product and the capacity of the existing manufacturing processes. Scaling up often requires investing in new equipment and the technology to increase production capacity and efficiency. This may include upgrading production lines, automating processes, and implementing quality control systems to ensure products meet regulatory standards, and a turn towards digital transformation, artificial intelligence, and automation to remain competitive. So the adoption of AI solutions in manufacturing extends far beyond traditional automation. It encompasses machine learning and deep learning. AI can enhance nearly all areas of the production of medtech by delivering deeper insights, quicker response times, and increased efficiency. In modern manufacturing industries, AI plays a pivotal role transforming the way companies manage production operations. For manufacturing, areas such as machine learning can streamline processes and making decisions based on data analysis so that businesses can start to lower production costs, enhance quality, and optimize supply chain efficiency. Also, through the use of machine learning and deep learning algorithms, modern systems can learn from past experiences, identify patterns, and make decisions independently based on these insights. By leveraging AI to analyze these market trends, production expenses, and other key data, companies can adjust pricing for their entire parts inventory according to market data, enabling businesses to respond more quickly to market changes to maximize profitability. When you read the January-February 2025 issue of Today's Medical Developments, AI use in manufacturing for medtech devices is talked about in nearly all sections of this issue. It's a bit of a hot topic. And to wrap things up, just a quick note about imports and exports of medical instruments. Most recent numbers we have are 2022. And this data from the Observatory of Economic Complexity says that in 2022, the U.S. exported $33.3 billion in medical instruments, making it the first largest exporter of medical instruments globally. In 2022, medical instruments was the 11th most exported product in the U.S. Shown here on this chart are the main destinations of medical instrument exports. And in 2022, the U.S. imported more than $34 billion in medical instruments, becoming the first largest importer of the medical instruments in the world, and medical instruments was also the 11th most imported product in the U.S. These instruments primarily, as you see, dealt with the countries listed on the chart above. Now, time will tell where the tariffs will lead these import and export numbers. So thank you for your time today. That was a quick overview. And like I said, please check out the Jan-Feb issue of Today's Medical Developments magazine. Now, I would like to hand the controls over to Eric Brothers. He is editor of GIE Manufacturing Group of Magazines, and he is going to give us the aerospace forecast.
Thank you for that introduction, Elizabeth. Well, 2025 leaves many questions unanswered from 2024, including how soon can Boeing 737 MAX and 787 Dreamliner production return to anticipated build rates? Can Airbus ramp up to its desired rate for its popular A321XLR? And with Embraer's dominance of the regional jet market, can it keep pace with the demand of its E-Series commercial jets? The commercial aerospace market remains strong, with demand for commercial transport aircraft exceeding the manufacturer's ability to keep pace with production. There are several reasons, primarily involving supply chain constraints and workforce needs. But first, let's look at demand. Global passenger traffic is projected to surpass 10 billion passengers in 2025. That's up 6% from 2024 and more than 16% from 2019. Aircraft leasing company Avolon predicts the global airline industry will reach $1 trillion in revenue for the first time during 2025. The main driver of this growth is the Asia-Pacific region, which is adding more capacity than all other regions of the world combined. Aircraft manufacturers can't supply airlines and leasing companies with all the modern, fuel-efficient jetliners they desire. Still, Avolon and others expect aircraft deliveries to be ramped up by about 20% in 2025. However, delivery dates for narrow-body aircraft ordered now may stretch from the 2030s into the 2040s. Let's consider the three major original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs. Airbus and Boeing order books will remain full for years to come. With production rates lower than anticipated, the 10-year backlog will last 14 years if current production rates don't increase. As a result of new aircraft scarcity, carriers are forced to extend the lifespan of their current fleets, increasing demand for maintenance, repair, and overhaul, and services. Increased MRO demand creates a shortage of used serviceable parts and engines. Long-term, predictions remain consistent with estimates from recent years. Boeing's 2024 commercial market outlook predicts strong air travel demand will drive aircraft demand for nearly 44,000 new airplanes from 2024 to 2043. The global commercial fleet is projected to grow 3% annually. Single airplanes are expected to make up almost 72% of the 2043 fleet. Boeing forecasts the support and services market to be worth $4.4 trillion in that same 20-year period. Airbus's 2024 global market forecast for the same time span is for 42,430 jets, with 80% being narrow-body. Annual growth will be approximately 3.6% from 2027 onward. Airbus's global services forecast puts the commercial aircraft services market at $290 billion in 2043, which is up from $150 billion in 2024. Embraer's market outlook predicts 10,500 orders for new jets and turboprops in the sub-150-seat category through 2043. The Brazilian plane maker calculates the demand will be for 8,470 regional jets and 2,030 turboprops, with a market value of all new aircraft of $640 billion. China and Asia Pacific will account for nearly half those numbers. Global aviation is returning to pre-pandemic levels, and airlines are ordering record numbers of airliners to meet travel demand and freshen fleets with more fuel-efficient and environmentally greener aircraft, having fewer emissions. Global air passenger demand reached a record high in 2024, according to the International Air Transport Association. Total full-year traffic in 2024, measured in revenue passenger kilometers, rose 10.4% compared to 2023. This was almost 4% above pre-pandemic 2019 levels. Total capacity, measured in available seat kilometers, was 8.7% in 2024. The overall load factor reached 83.5%, a record for full-year traffic. Precedence Research estimates the global market size for commercial and military aircraft was $400 billion in 22 and projects it to hit $561.5 billion in 2032, growing at a compound annual growth rate of 3.5% from 2023 to 2032. A quick look at commercial aircraft deliveries 2024 versus 2023. Airbus increased deliveries slightly to 766. Its backlog increased a bit. In January this year, Airbus made 25 commercial aircraft deliveries to 17 customers and registered 55 gross orders. Boeing delivered only 348 airplanes last year due to the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers strike and rework demanded on 737 MAX jets after the infamous door plug blowout. Its backlog decreased slightly. Boeing is trying to get back on its production schedule, however, and delivered 30 planes in December of last year. Embraer delivered 206 aircraft, an increase of 14% compared to 2023's 181. Embraer's organization-wide backlog reached $26.3 billion at the end of 2024. The value is the largest ever recorded by the company and more than 40% higher year on year. Its commercial jet backlog, not including business jets and military aircraft, increased to 343 units. You can read more about aircraft orders and deliveries in the Aerospace Manufacturing and Design January-February issues online version, now live on our website. Go to aerospacemanufacturinganddesign.com/magazine and click on the cover story 2025 forecast link for all the forecasts plus expanded insider insights from many industry experts. I pared this down to the most talked about, most produced airframes. The Airbus A320 and Boeing 737 MAX single-aisle jetliners, because the OEMs are reluctant to announce anything new because of supply chain constraints. Airbus produced about 44 A320s per month last year and is working with its supply chain to increase A320 production to 75 aircraft per month by 2027. Previously, the target of 75 was expected to be reached in 2026. About 65 per month is the goal this year. Boeing's intention is to increase output of 737s to 38 per month this year. That number is now set by the FAA. It's aiming for 42 per month if it receives FAA permission. SkyQuest Technology Consulting reports the global aircraft engine market size was valued at $54.34 billion in 2023 and is poised to grow from $60.25 billion in 2024 to $152.5 billion by 2032. Growing at a compound annual growth rate of almost 11% during that period. The company predicts aftermarket sales of aircraft engines and related parts and services in the commercial aviation sector are expected to grow 4.3% annually. Demand for a new aircraft is forecast to generate $2.7 trillion in aircraft engine aftermarket revenue globally throughout the next 20 years. As one example, GE Aerospace celebrated a successful first year as a standalone company by posting total orders of more than $50 billion, which is up 32%, of which more than $40 billion were commercial engines and services. That figure is up 38%. In the fourth quarter of 2024, its services grew 12%, driven by expanded shop visit work scope, higher spare part requirements, and price. In total, GE received more than 4,600 commercial and defense engines during the year. However, the LEAP engines it makes with Safran and their joint venture CFM International had a 10% decline in deliveries due to supply chain constraints. LEAP aftermarket capacity was also extended by around 40% in 2024, supporting the growing fleet of 3,300 LEAP-powered aircraft with 10,000 engines in backlog. Boeing's 777X is back in flight testing, and orders for the wide body have put nearly 1,000 GE9X engines in backlog. The global space economy presents an opportunity worth $1.8 trillion by 2035, up from $630 billion in 2023, according to a report by the World Economic Forum and McKinsey & Company. That figure counts satellites, launchers, services, and applications for which space technology helps the companies across industries generate revenues. Uber is one example. An expected annual growth rate is twice the projected growth of domestic product during the next decade. Growth drivers for the space economy include the need for greater connectivity via satellites, higher demand for positioning and navigation services on mobile devices, and increased demand for insights powered by artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, ML. Space has become a thing now and is mentioned more often in the industry insider comments that appear in our 2025 forecast. Ihsan Munir, Senior Vice President of Global Supply Chain and Fabrication for Boeing Commercial Airplanes, gave a 30-minute Boeing supply chain update at the recent Pacific Northwest Aerospace Alliance, PNAA, Advanced 2025 conference. He spoke of Boeing's renewed emphasis on safety and quality, including the company investing in workforce training, simplifying plans and processes, eliminating defects, elevating the safety and quality culture, and tracking every detail. The company has established 6 key performance indicators to monitor production health, focusing on teammate proficiency, notice of escapement rework hours, supplier shortages, total rework hours, traveled work, and airplane job ticketing performance. This also includes manufacturing engineer inspections. And the effort is paying off. They're getting caught up with their shadow factory of unfinished planes. Spirit Aerosystems, which Boeing is reacquiring, is getting caught up. They have 1,200 suppliers with whom they spend $3.4 billion annually. In its commitment to transparency and collaboration, Boeing has established more touch points, monthly briefs to its suppliers, quality alerts and bulletins, a supply chain quality forum, workshops, site visits and summits, and digital integration, all in an effort to realize the goal of we are one production system. We've heard a lot about what's holding back production. It's namely supply chain constraints, but it isn't often defined or companies called out. But at the PNAA conference, Embraer's manager of procurement and contracts, Carlos Frederico Muramatsu Jao, presented a list to clarify his concerns. Raw material availability includes fasteners, forgings, castings, super alloys, resins and chemicals, and reliance on Russian titanium. Labor shortages, attracting and retaining talent, and the right mix of experienced personnel with new hires for training time. Geopolitical tensions, China-Taiwan, Israel-Hamas, Russia-NATO, and Red Sea attacks on shipping. Sub-tiers financial health. They need working capital, and there's a significant need for capital expenditure investments to support the ramp-up with new technology. Technologies, engines for their durability and availability, and insourcing strategic technologies such as aerostructures to reduce risk. One more potential headwind, tariffs. About 80% of PNAA attendees raised their hands when asked if they were concerned about tariffs. The concern was more the uncertainty, planning for them and calculating foreign content from Canada and Mexico mainly, versus the additional costs, at least for now. No one is certain if tariffs are a negotiation tactic or a potential revenue stream, or to balance trade and encourage domestic manufacturing. Here are some takeaways for this year. Boeing is recovering. There's confidence in the Pacific Northwest supply chain, Boeing's backyard, that management is doing the right things, taking care to invest money, time, and effort into its safety management system, fixing problems with undelivered aircraft, and resuming production. Spirit AeroSystems stockholders approved the merger with Boeing, which will bring Aerostructures back into direct control. Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg bought a house in Seattle, seen as a good sign. Robust backlog. Still more than a decade of jetliner engine orders to fulfill. Slowly improving supply chain. GE's flight deck initiative, launched in 2024, helped tackle supply chain constraints head-on, according to the company. And late in the year, GE material inputs increased 26% across all its priority supplier sites. GE says it's working intently with 15 or so critical suppliers and has more than 500 people embedded in the supply base to identify and eliminate constraints. Airbus plans to open a second A320 final assembly line in Mobile, Alabama in the second quarter of this year. Long-term demand remains strong. Airbus, Boeing, and Embraer all generally agree on commercial aircraft demand for the next 20 years. Strong MRO market. With fewer new aircraft entering into service, older jets are serving longer and need more maintenance and parts. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is helping. For example, production line simulation can help eliminate bottlenecks and optimize the workflow before machines run. Anecdotally, several PNAA attendees reported using AI for fine-tuning their planning, forecasting inventory, and purchasing, collecting and analyze data they already collect. They're using AI to develop multiple scenarios quickly. We'll be happy to answer questions at the end of the presentation, so thank you. And now, here's Jake Kaufman to tell you about defense and munitions.
Thank you, Eric. As he had said, I am Jake Kaufman, the managing editor for the Defense and Munitions magazine at GIE Media's manufacturing group. Now, defense spending is forecast to decrease slightly in the United States, but it shows no signs of slowing down in 2025. We'll break down why, as conflicts continue in the Ukraine and the Middle East, while the United States also stockpiles weapons as tensions continue to mount with China. Also, the defense and munitions manufacturing will continue to be a priority as we turn to the year 2025. What will it be spent on and how much will be spent is still a question to be answered. So we'll do our best to do it here at Defense and Munitions, both in the United States and globally. So the proposed 2025 defense budget for the United States DoD totals $850 billion. That is 1.1% less than the amount anticipated for the 2025 year in the previous Future Years Defense Program, which is a 5-year plan laid out by the DoD as it prepares for part of its annual budget request. It is also a 1.7% less than what was appropriated by Congress in 2024. However, the DoD budget should climb to $866 billion when adjusted for inflation by 2029. That's a total increase of 1.9% from 2025. The Congressional Budget Office also projects that the cost of the DoD plans will increase by 11% throughout the 10 years following the FYDP period. It will reach $965 billion by 2039, which is a 64% increase in operation and support, 32% increase in acquisition, and a 4% increase in infrastructure. Now, fighting continues between Russia and Ukraine as the U.S. helps stock the Ukrainian military with weapons to defend against advancing Russian troops. Since February of 2022, the U.S. government has reportedly committed more than $66 billion in assistance for Ukraine. The vast majority of that is going towards the production of 155 millimeter howitzer artillery shells. Jen Judson, the land warfare reporter for Defense News, reported in October that the Army planned to spend $3.1 billion to ramp up production of the 155 millimeter shells in 2024, with a target of producing 100,000 artillery shells per month. The Army is currently producing 40,000 shells a month and hopes to reach 55 shells a month at some point in the start of 2025. That's according to Army Secretary Christine Wormuth.
Also, Doug Bush, the Army's acquisition chief, told Judson that the production of the 155 millimeter shells will increase from one facility to 4 facilities in North America at some point in 2025. Now, according to the Watson Institute for International and Public Affairs at Brown University, the United States government has approved at least 17.9 billion in security assistance for the Israeli military, the Israeli military operations in Gaza since October of 2023. That assistance climbs up to 22.76 billion in military aid to Israel and the related U.S. operations in the region. That does include 57,000 artillery shells, 36,000 rounds of cannon ammunition, 20,000 M4A1 rifles, and nearly 14,000 anti-tank missiles, and 8,700 500-pound bombs. Now, the world defense budget was estimated to be approximately 2.005 trillion in 2023. That is expected to reach approximately 2.56 trillion by 2028 at a compound annual growth rate of 4.9%, according to Markets and Markets Research. Geopolitical tensions, regional conflicts, and addressing emerging challenges such as cyber warfare and terrorism are driving the defense budget growth. Technology advancements and the race for military superiority have also fueled the increased defense spending. Now, Additive Manufacturing Research reported that the DoD spent $800 million on 3D printing and additive manufacturing in 2024. That is a 166% growth, expected to maintain that through the end of the decade, as they will reach $2.6 billion by 2030. Escalating and evolving global tensions and security challenges position the 3D printing and additive manufacturing industry as crucial for defense and military entities to conceptualize, develop, and deploy critical assets and equipment very quickly. Now, Insight Partners reports that loitering munitions market is expected to reach 2.0 billion in 2031. That is increasing from 1.1 billion in 2023 at a CAGR of 9%. The fixed wing segment has dominated the loitering munitions market as it is used for longer range applications than the rotary wing loitering munitions, as it has a greater endurance, a higher speed, and a larger payload capacity. Now, the unmanned surface vessel market is also expected to more than double from 1.1 billion in 2024 to 2.5 billion by 2034, according to global data. More than 40 countries will operate unmanned surface vessels by 2034. The USV market is forecast to experience a growth of 6.7% in that time. Now, Telenovio reports that the land-based defense equipment market is going to increase by 34.12 billion at a CAGR of 8.4% between 2023 and 2028. The land-based defense equipment market is witnessing significant advancements driven by the integration of technology into military operations. Technovio also is reporting that ground-based aircraft and missile defense market is expected to increase by 4.6 billion at a CAGR of 7.1% between 2024 and 2029. The market is experiencing significant growth due to the increasing demand for military supremacy and also the advanced military procurement. The development of new generation air and missile defense systems is also a major market driver, as these systems are essential for countering surface-to-air missiles, air-to-surface missiles, air-to-air missiles, and anti-ship missiles. The rising threat of unmanned aerial vehicles, also known as UAVs, is also pushing nations to invest in advanced defense systems. Now, the global market and missile market, or the global rocket and missile market, is projected to increase from 62.5 billion in 2024 to 85 billion by 2029 at a CAGR of 6.4%, according to Markets and Markets. Growth is driven by the increasing defense programs with the objective of strengthening country security against threats. Insight Partners also reports that artillery systems are projected to reach 20.98 billion by 2031, and that is a CAGR of 7.2%. The rising deployment of self-propelled artillery systems is likely to bring in new trends to the market. Also, rising global military expenditure, increasing numbers of contracts for the supply of artillery systems, and the rising deployment of self-propelled artillery systems by various armed forces worldwide are expected to drive the market. Also, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also known as NATO, their ammunition market is forecast to increase by $179 million at a CAGR of 4.5% by 2028. According to Technovio, the market is experiencing significant growth as countries seek to modernize and expand their military capabilities. Another trend influencing the market is the reduction of weight in ammunition, which also enhances military logistics, procurement, and agility. The increase in illicit ammunition manufacturers, though, does pose a significant challenge to market growth as it undermines the quality and reliability of legitimate suppliers. Meantime, the rifles market is expected to increase to 766.5 million at a CAGR of 3.5% between 2023 and 2028, according to Technovio. The market is witnessing significant growth due to the increasing defense spending globally, also leading to an increased demand for advanced rifles from military and law enforcement agencies. The increasing demand for customized weapons is also leading companies to invest in automation and advanced bullet loading technologies. Rise of terrorism and the subsequent need for advanced precision missile systems, and also it has increased the focus on semi-automatic and automatic weapons. The small arms market, meantime, is expected to grow to 11.1 billion by 2027 at a CAGR of 4.5%, according to Markets and Markets. Rising investments is in the development of new and advanced firearms, along with ammunitions that go with the modernization of small arms, as they are the driving factors for market growth. Handguns such as pistols and revolvers, along with rifles such as assault, sniper, shotguns, and machine guns, are witnessing a heavy demand in North America, Europe, and the Middle East. The small caliber ammunition market, meantime, is projected to reach 13.19 billion by 2031 at a CAGR of 8.7%, according to the Insight Partners. Adoption of new squad automatic rifles by military forces is likely to remain a key trend in the market. Armed forces are focusing on caliber sizes such as 7.62 millimeter for attaining greater projectile ranges. Also, existing calibers such as 5.56 millimeter are becoming ineffective in piercing tougher armors. Small caliber ammunition is segmented into the 5.56, 7.62, 9 millimeter, also 12.7 millimeter, 14.5 millimeter, 45 ACP, 0.338 millimeter, 22 LR, and also the 223 REM, along with the 0.308 Winchester, along with others. The 9 millimeter is the market leader since 2023. Also, the end user market is subjected into the military, homeland security, and law enforcement, as the military holds the largest market share. Also, the market is segmented down into pistols, rifles, and shotguns. Pistols have the largest market share. Meantime, safehome.org reports that 5.5 million firearms were sold in the United States in the first 4 months of 2024 alone. 16.7 million firearms were sold in the United States in 2023. However, that is a 4% decline from 2022. Statista, meanwhile, reports that since 2022, approximately 42% of American households own at least one firearm. Now, Congress may have slightly reduced the defense budget for the United States, and conflicts continue for the Ukraine and also Israeli defense forces. So defense, firearms, and munitions and manufacturers can expect to stay busy in 2025 and in the coming years. Also, personal protection in the United States is still gaining interest, so civilian firearms sales will continue to grow, which allow gun manufacturers to keep producing pistols, rifles, shotguns, and any other firearms, ammunition, and accessories that the customers might want. So with all that being said, we now turn over to our associate editor, Claire Scott, as she will handle the electric vehicle market.
Thank you, Jake. Well, there's been a lot of confusion about how the electric vehicle or EV industry is actually doing due to conflicting headlines. The numbers paint an encouraging picture. In 2024, 1.3 million EVs were sold in the United States. setting a new record with sales rising 7.3% from 2023. Global records were broken as well, with 17.1 million EVs sold across the world, a 25% increase over 2023. In addition, 1.9 million hybrid vehicles, including plug-in hybrid models, were sold in the US last year. Several manufacturers, including Ford, Hyundai, and General Motors, announced plans to increase focus on developing hybrid vehicles, while still continuing to pursue fully electric technology. Many consumers hesitant to buy fully electrified cars are looking to hybrids as a stepping stone into e-mobility. Let's look at what analysts are saying about the near future of the EV industry. Cox Automotive predicts that 1 out of every 4 vehicles sold in the US in 2025 will be electrified, with fully electric vehicles accounting for approximately 10% of the market total in the year ahead, up from roughly 7.5% in 2024. Hybrids and plug-in hybrids will account for approximately 15% of the market and sales of pure internal combustion engine vehicles will tumble to 75% of total volume, the lowest level on record. On a global level, RoMotion predicts sales of EVs and plug-in hybrids will rise by at least 17% to more than 20 million in 2025. According to Precedence Research, the global EV market will reach $2,453.48 billion by 2033, and the hybrid vehicle market will reach $301.67 billion by 2030. We can't ignore the fact that there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding electric vehicles, clean energy, and the automotive industry right now. The president has announced plans to terminate government support, including tax credits, for the production of EVs and related infrastructure, such as chargers. It's uncertain to what extent these plans will actually come to pass and how they will affect the industry. Newly advanced tariffs, however, could snarl supply chains and raise prices across industries, with many experts predicting the automotive industry could be hard hit. Regardless, consumer interest in EVs is strong. According to a survey by Tata Consultancy Services, 64% of consumers are likely to consider an EV for their next automotive purchase. It's worth taking a closer look at one especially fast-growing segment of the EV market, commercial vehicles. The US commercial EV market was valued at $13.88 billion in 2023 and is forecast to grow to $55.92 billion by 2029, a compound annual growth rate of 26.4%. This rapid growth can be attributed to many factors, including advancements in battery technology leading to greater energy density and faster charging times, as well as a growing sense of environmental responsibility among corporations. A major factor influencing the widespread adoption of EVs is cost, which is largely driven by battery costs. Goldman Sachs predicts average battery prices could fall towards $80 per kilowatt hour by 2026, amounting to a drop of almost 50% from 2023. At this point, battery electric vehicles would achieve ownership cost parity with internal combustion engine vehicles in the US on an unsubsidized basis. One of the reasons behind the drop in battery prices is a continued downturn in the cost of metals, such as lithium and cobalt, used to manufacture batteries. The leading EV battery chemistries on the market currently are lithium nickel manganese cobalt mixed oxide, or NMC, and lithium iron phosphate, or LFP, batteries. However, many manufacturers have their eyes on what many believe to be the next stage in the evolution of EV batteries, solid-state batteries. Solid-state batteries are believed by many industry experts to be the future of EV batteries. In these batteries, the liquid electrolyte, through which lithium ions flow from the anode to the cathode, is replaced by a solid one, which also acts as a separator between the anode and cathode. Solid-state batteries potentially offer multiple advantages. They're less flammable and thus safer than traditional lithium-ion batteries, and they offer better energy density, smaller size, lighter weight, and faster charging speeds. Solid state batteries are already being used in applications such as consumer electronics, but it's been challenging to scale them up for EV use. Still, several major automotive manufacturers, including Honda, Hyundai, and Toyota, have announced their plans to introduce solid state batteries to the market within this decade. As the EV market grows, EV charging infrastructure must keep up. Tata Consultancy Services survey indicated 60% of consumers considering EV purchases in the near future are most concerned about charger availability and reliability. The industry is responding to this concern. In the fourth quarter of 2024, the number of publicly available DC fast chargers in the US grew by 7.6% from 46,100 to 49,604, another record. PwC predicts the overall number of charging stations in the US will grow to 35 million by 2030. In addition, the US electrical vehicle supply equipment market, which includes hardware, software, installers, and charge point operators, is projected to grow from $7 billion in 2024 to $100 billion by 2040. There are three main types of chargers currently used to charge EVs. Level 1 chargers are powered by a typical 120-volt outlet and are most commonly used in residential settings where vehicles can charge overnight, as they're the slowest, taking up to 50 hours to charge from empty. Level 2 chargers are faster, taking 3 to 10 hours to charge from empty, and they're in high demand as they're suitable for both residential and commercial locations and are cost-effective to install. Level 3, or direct current fast charging equipment, can charge in 20 minutes to an hour from empty. Fortune Business Insights projects significant growth globally for this type of charger as more drivers use their EVs for long-distance travel. An often referenced 2017 forecast predicted the EV transition would result in a 30% decrease in auto manufacturing jobs. It's easy to see where this prediction came from. EVs require about 100 fewer parts than ICE vehicles, internal combustion engine vehicles, and they have simpler powertrains. However, a 2024 University of Michigan study found that employment is actually increasing in this sector. Automotive plants in the stages of ramping up to full EV production saw assembly jobs increase by as much as 10 times. This increase was attributed to several factors, such as the development of new manufacturing technologies and more complex overall vehicle designs. Historically, auto manufacturing has taken place in a limited area of the United States. Detroit, of course, is well known as the Motor City, and in addition to Michigan, auto manufacturing jobs have been highly concentrated in Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and Alabama. Since the growth of EVs began, however, and particularly since 2022's Inflation Reduction Act, these jobs and facilities have expanded across the US, many in states that have never been associated with auto manufacturing before. Georgia, for example, accounts for 16% of EV-related manufacturing job announcements in the US. EVs are impacting other industries, including machine tools. Because of the weight of their batteries and motors, EVs require lighter weight structural materials, such as aluminum, carbon fiber, and composites, to improve range and efficiency. This has created a growing demand for advanced, specialized machine tools and complex machining capabilities to achieve the precision these materials need. Thank you for your time and attention. You can read more about the EV market forecast at the link above, and stay tuned to EV design and manufacturing for updates on this fast-changing industry.
So that wraps up the presentation from our four markets. And looking through the questions that came in, I see that Jonathan has a question about the DoD contracts from the previous administration. And he wanted to know if if any awards have been made from the plan to invest from the DoD to counter China's
Manufacturing Matters is an MFG Radio Network production brought to you by GIE Media's Manufacturing Group as industry experts take deep dives into the latest manufacturing matters, whether it's new innovations, products, technologies, and emerging markets that help you understand better why manufacturing matters to you and also to the top companies in the medical, aerospace, defense, and electric vehicle manufacturing industries.
dominance and security threat in the drone market. Currently, we don't have any information on if any contracts have been awarded for that program, but we will definitely do some research into it. And when we post the on-demand recording of the webinar, we will try to get that answer. And if we do, we will include that answer in the transcript. I believe that those are all the questions, Jake, so I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Also, a massive thank you to Eric Brothers and Claire Scott. And before we wrap things up, though, we do want to give another shout out to our series sponsor, Renishaw, and also today's sponsors of OSG and SMW Autoblock. So for all of us at GIE Media's Manufacturing Group, thank you so much for your time today. Hope you have a great afternoon.
You can listen to all of our episodes of Manufacturing Matters and Lunch and Learn podcast from the MFG Radio Network on Spotify, Apple Music, and on our websites, todaysmedicaldevelopments.com, aerospacemanufacturinganddesign.com, defenseandmunitions.com, and evdesignandmanufacturing.com.